And welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to be sharing with you how to cut this backless underbust flay dress. So to start, here is my pattern and we're going to cut out the upper part of this dress. Now I'm going to go ahead to mark my shoulder to bust, which I've already done. Here's my shoulder to bust, shoulder to underbust. And for this gown we are going to stop at the underbust first and then cut the lower part much later. Now what I'm going to do is you're going to determine the length of your dress and you're going to minus your underbust, which we did here. So you can decide to add ½ inch extra to your underbust if you don't want to cut your underbust directly. To divide your shoulder by 2, add ½ inch because this dress has a sleeve. Come down by 1 inch, place your ruler and draw out a straight line. Mark your shoulder slope. The next step is to find your chest line, which is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. Go ahead to mark and draw out a straight line. Now whatever you have on your shoulder, go and mark it back on your chest line. Place your ruler and draw out a straight line. After this, I'm going to divide what I have into 2 and I will fold this. Now I'll come in by ½ inch at the midpoint and I'll go ahead to mark my bust circumference divided by 4. My bust is 33 divided by 4. I have 8.3 and I'll go ahead to connect from the bust to that ½ inch and to the upper part of my shoulder, and I'll go ahead to draw this out. So for this particular pattern you don't need a dart. So what I'm going to do now is to go ahead to mark my bust circumference divided by 4 and add my sewing allowance. Now I'll mark my underbust circumference divided by 4 and I'll mark my sewing allowance and I'll connect. You can use 1 inch for your sewing allowance or half. You don't want to go ahead to add too much sewing allowance to your pattern. Now I'm going to go in by 3.5 inches here and I'll go ahead to draw out a basic neckline, which I will use as a guide while drawing out my neckline. So I'll go ahead to draw like a little sketch and to make sure that what I have aligns with what I have on the dress. So after drawing this out, I'll still go ahead to readjust it. So the neckline is not that straight and you have to go ahead to draw like a little curve. So I'll just go ahead and I will outline this part of my pattern this way. So after marking this, I noticed that it's not really looking like what I have there. So I'll just make little readjustment at this area. So I'll go ahead and I will cut out this part of my pattern this way. So at this point, if you have any question, you can go ahead to ask. And after cutting this, we are going to be cutting a slash and spread at the lower part. So I'll go ahead to place my tape and mark out my sewing allowance. After that, I'll just go up and slash and or divide my pattern. So you are going to be cutting here open and you're going to spread it on your pattern. This is to get that ruffle or pleated effect you have underneath the bust area of your pattern. So when you're placing your pattern, you're going to open it up a bit this way and you're going to spread it on your dress. That is how you're going to get that little ruffle that you will pleat under your underbust pattern when you're adjusting it. So you also want to add ½ inch round to your pattern. Now looking at the neckline, we also have like there's a little pleat there. Now I'm just going to cut it slightly towards the armhole because that is where we have. You're also going to open or slash that part open a bit. So after this, we're done drafting the front, the upper part of the front. We're going to cut out the lower part. So now you want to place your tape at your underbust and you're going to get the length of your dress. So for this pattern illustration, let's say I'm using 35 inches for the length of the dress and I will mark. The only measurement you'll be needing here is actually your waist. So there are 2 ways to cut this out, in form of a flay or a line. So from where your pattern stops, you mark your underbust, mark your waistline, then 7 inches to get your hip point. So I'm just making all these marks so you might not need it. So this dress, you can cut it in form of a flay, but looking at the pattern we have here is not much, so you can use your A-line pattern to do this. So at the underbust, I marked my underbust circumference divided by 4 plus my sewing allowance. So now you're going to mark your hip circumference divided by 4 at the lower part. Now, depending on how full you want the lower part, you can add extra 4 inches after your measurement. So the effect, 6 inches. The flay effect we have at the lower part is not that much. You can still use 6 inches. So from the waistline, I'll come down, from the underbust, I'll come down straight a bit and go ahead to place my ruler, and I'm going to be connecting this all the way to that extra inches we have at the lower part of this dress. So I'll go ahead and I'll place and draw out this part or blend it out very well. So this is what I have on this part, and I'll go ahead to cut. So for this particular dress, if you notice, there's no zip at the back, so the zipper is at the side of the dress. So you use your sewing allowance by the side to add zipper to it. So for the back pattern, I'm going to use the same pattern to cut it out. So after placing and cutting out your front, what you do is to get this your pattern. Now you can go down by 2 inches and then extend it to the underbust. This is to make it have a lower effect at the back part of your dress. So just like I said, after cutting your front pattern, you're going to go ahead to use the same pattern to cut out your back. All you have to do is to go down a bit and connect it to the underbust. Now going over to the back pattern, this is what I have. I've gone ahead to mark out the basic measurement, which includes the shoulder to underbust, shoulder to bust, and that is where my pattern will also stop for the back. Now you're going to mark that neckline that you used for the front. Now you're going to mark your bust circumference divided by 4 and add your sewing allowance. Mark your under bust circumference divided by 4 and add your sewing allowance. Go ahead to connect. After you're done connecting, go ahead to just cut this out, and then we'll alter this pattern. So now use the same neckline you used for the front and mark. Now from that point, you're going to extend this all the way to your under bust, but come up by 1 inch or 1.5 to 2 inches. So you're going to outline. For the back, you'll be adding a little strap there to tie the neckline. So for the remaining 1.5 I have here, I'll be attaching a belt to that part. So you want to cut out a belt, and that is where you'll be joining it to the side of your dress. So I'll just go ahead and cut out my pattern. So you can go ahead to join the upper part of your dress before joining the lower part.